Well, good evening, Africa, and welcome to Soccer Africa. I am your jersey number 10, Thomas of Mlambo, and you catch us already in conversation. The show has begun, but only about a second before it came to you, and that was around some of the jokes that are being spread here around what happened in the window when FIFA were allowing the national teams to play and qualifications were taking place. And remember when Zambia got that invitation to play against Argentina. The man sitting next to me, Mamadou Gay, made a very bold, I don't want to call it prediction. He gave us an insight as to why Argentina had decided to play against Zambia. Now, we know the score. The score was 5-0 to Argentina. Mamadou, it's good to have you back in studio here in South Africa. But what you said did not happen, and this is why we're laughing.
What? It did happen. 5-0.
Yeah.
I told you it was to increase the goal tally of Messi and Argentina.
Not and Argentina.
Argentina, 5-0.
He said Messi should have more goals than Ronaldinho, and it did happen.
Yeah, but no, but one goal already.
One only in the 5 was Messi.
It's piled up.
They had to respect the game, guys.
Let's move on and introduce you to the panel properly. So, you've not left out. That was the conversation before you came to us at the far post. It's Coach Sudesh Singh. He's our football strategist and coach. There's a lot to talk about. And what has fascinated you more? Lots of topics that we're bringing to people today. Is it referees? Is it administrative issues?
Coaching.
What are you most looking forward to talking about on the show?
Coaching.
Coaching.
Yeah.
Changes of coaches.
Changes of coaches. Alio Cisse has left Libya and today appointed Angola national coach.
That is maybe one of the biggest news stories of the week, right?
And then we know the story of Ghana, you know. There's a short list of coaches. There's
is there a short list of coaches?
I wonder.
Because on social media, there's every single name.
Anyone and everyone's name is there.
Probably somebody will release a list where my name is there.
Yeah, maybe you one of those 600 who applied there.
But Alio Cisse, let's talk about that very quickly. Alio Cisse, new coach of Angola.
And it seems like he got out of Libya in a hurry. You know, he went 8 months without salary, and they terminated by mutual agreement, you know. And within a day, he's announced as Angola head coach.
4-year contract.
In Libya.
The first thing that jumped to my mind, though, is, Alio Cisse, fantastic coach, did the business with Senegal, 10 years with the Senegalese national team. Does he speak Portuguese, though? Do we know that?
It's very close to French. And as a coach, you don't necessarily need... The coach is there to speak.
They had a French coach recently, Patrice Baumel, who's now the Esperanto coach. He was the Angolan coach.
Mm-hmm. No, football but you'll have a situation where you'll get lele, and then you find that the interpretation when it gets to the players is not what you are saying as the coach.
I think Elias is a great coach, and he might be the coach to take Angola to the next level. Angola never got past, TK, the quarterfinals of an African Cup of Nations.
Correct, absolutely. But I think with his pedigree, he has already won the Africa Cup of Nations with Senegal, and he qualified them for the World Cup as well. So I think with his pedigree, his experience, and we know he also led Senegal as a player at the World Cup in 2002. So maybe, just maybe, that experience that he has gained over the years could help Angola get as far as they can.
That's the political answer, and I like it. Is he the right man for the job for the Palencas Negras?
He should be.
You believe in him?
I do, because quite often many African federations, they look to Europe for coaches, and then we tend to overlook our own African coaches here on the continent, and most of them have really have the credentials to do well. And
what did he do in his last job?
If you look at the history of the Cup of Nations,
last job,
Ghana, when they won the AFCON, they were coached by a Ghanaian. I think twice or 3 times by a Ghanaian. South Africa, the only AFCON, they were coached by a South African. Senegal, when they won the AFCON, they were coached by a
No country won the World Cup with a foreign coach.
Last job that he was in, what did he do?
But you must also look at Libya. Are they one of the top countries on the continent?
You fell into my trap.
No, what I'm saying...
Because that's exactly the point I'm making, is that anyone can coach Senegal. I mean, you can put anyone in the Senegal team.
You must also know how to manage
The
players.
best players in the world are
You can
playing
have
in
the
the
best
Senegalese
players,
national team.
but you must also have skills to
when you
manage
look at
them.
Angola, they have good players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they were missing or lacking was a good coach who understands African culture, African football, who could talk to the players. But our national team have this complex of inferiority, always going to look for European coaches.
Yes.
That era is over. Look at the AFCON. The 4 semi-finalists in Morocco were African coaches.
Tell me, do you think Ghana will go for an African coach or a foreign coach?
The biggest mistake Ghana will do, and nobody will forgive them, is to go and bring a European coach to the World Cup.
Why?
Polish his CV and leave the Africans here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And after the World Cup, he will
Agree.
disappear.
Yes.
If they don't have a Ghanaian who can do the job, let them go to Nigeria. Let them come to South Africa. Let them go to Cote d'Ivoire. The qualified coaches are there.
There's Kwesi Appiah, for instance. Kwesi Appiah.
The
great job with
qualified
Sudan.
African coaches are many of them
Okay.
with experience.
Yes,
I like
free.
consistency, and when the argument is not consistent, and I'm going to bring Ashley in because Ashley's been very quiet, but I like consistency, and you guys are not being consistent. Because when you talk about that we need to have an African coach because he understands the African culture, and he's this is the World Cup. You're not going to meet another African side at the World Cup in all likelihood unless we have a fantastic World Cup and then meet each other in the quarterfinals or semi-finals eventually of the tournament. So, why should it be an African when this is the World Cup?
Yes.
Should you, if you go get a coach who's got experience at the World Cup and has done the business at the World Cup, if you're Ghana, is that not the right guy?
You
Even
said
if he's
it.
from Europe.
He's done the business with who?
Eh?
He's done the business with who?
Does that matter?
It does matter because it's completely different cultures, different quality of
And
players,
you see
different
what happens
environment.
most of the time. You take these European coaches. When they meet Italy, your coach is an Italian or German or French. What do you think? They lose the game. Their country must end. Yes,
No way.
we've seen it many times.
Where?
If you say,
Where have you
all
seen
the
it?
past
Where have
World
you seen it?
Cup,
98.
Name a game. Name a game.
Hey, it's plenty. We
Name
cannot
one game.
talking
Name
about
one game.
Are you talking about Bafana France? 98.
Trussier.
Yeah.
Philippe Troussier.
What did you
Mamadou.
say? 98.
No, that's what I'm asking Mamadou. Are you talking about 98?
There are many examples there. That's why it's important today. You see, today, if we don't have the coaches, it's a different story. But we have them.
I want to get Ashley in because Ashley, you, as a Zambian and a proud Zambian at that, had 2 foreign coaches for your 2 senior national teams. Now, they're gone.
Yeah.
And they won an AFCON with a foreign coach,
100%.
with Hevrena. So I don't know what you guys are talking about, but right now, your 2 foreign coaches. Breaking news out of Zambia, what happened with the women's team coach now? We already know the men's team coach. He left a while ago.
Yeah, sadly, Coach Nora is said to have quit. And what's even sadder for me, and I kept talking to everybody I was speaking to in Zambia this week, I kept wondering, Coach Nora hasn't had the best time in Zambia, honestly. Since she came in, there's been politics and politics and politics surrounding her. And I remember even when she came to play, when they played the last game that I saw her play here in South Africa, Zambia versus Namibia, she was sent off the pitch because of a coaching license, which was a UEFA B, which is equivalent to the UEFA A. It was such chaos at the game that day. And I kept wondering, who has really been on Coach Nora's side since she came to Zambia? Because the politics that have been surrounding her have been looking like, it's more like she's been pushed out. And that's just my honest opinion. So her leaving, she's now
Pushed out or not paid?
no, listen, she's being paid her money. They're not owing her any money. However, she's demanding a $1 million separation package.
US dollars.
US dollars.
1 million.
She's taken the issue to FIFA. That's what I'm saying. She's been in Zambia and it's been politics after politics during her reign. I don't think she's enjoyed her stay there. And as a woman, you can just imagine what's been happening around. And I keep wondering what really is happening.
You need to tell us.
What really is
So
happening?
You must tell us.
has she resigned or was she fired? Because if you say
No, she hasn't resigned.
making a claim to FIFA, it means the balance of a contract.
There's no resignation. All that is being told is that she's quit. I tried to reach her the entire week. She's not responding. And I even got in touch with the FA. What really is happening? Because there's been no statement from the FA around what is happening with Coach Nora. And when you look at the article that came out, a lot of issues were alleged and a lot of people were accused in why she's left, including the women's representative of FAS, Kano Katoba, which now makes a lot
But
of...
Ashley, if she did not quit,
Yes.
is she entitled to take FAS to FIFA if she did not quit?
Yes, she is, because she's not being allowed to be in her seat. Do you get what I mean?
hear you.
That's why I'm saying there's a lot of
It means she's been pushed
there's
out.
a lot of politics surrounding Coach Nora right now. That is just not making sense. Because when you there could be political answers when you ask these questions, but when someone is being pushed out, you really do wonder, because it's the second time now going to FIFA.
Avram Grant, though, that's settled.
Settled done. They're still going to pay him through the FIFA forward.
You're still paying
The Croatian
Avram
coach,
Grant, who has been no longer with you for some time. You're still paying a coach who's no longer there.
Yes. They're still owing him money, and luckily they did come up with an agreement of how to pay him through the FIFA Forward program money.
Then why did he leave if you were still paying? Like, if you're still going to pay the guy, why is he left?
To give an opportunity
you
to
see,
the local coach.
sometimes when a new federation come in office, generally it's happened in Africa, they have a tendency to get rid of everybody that used to belong to the former
Not
office.
coach.
but Mamadou, if those
They
people are
get
doing
rid
well,
of the coach, the sweeper,
Mamadou,
everybody.
but if those people are doing well, why get rid of them?
Hey, my friend,
Are
it's
you not
a
going to make your job?
vendetta. I defeat you. Even the cleaner, the
The tea lady.
everybody must go.
But like I'm saying, we were talking about local coaches, right? The coaches that are in Zambia are well qualified to coach. The only grievance for me that I keep even trying to understand is, how are they pushing somebody out? Why didn't they just not allow the other coaches that are in to assist her?
And you've got a WAFCON on the horizon.
Yes.
That's why it's so confusing to understand what really is happening there, because there's WAFCON coming, there's
The
CAF.
FIFA series are coming.
It's literally going. They've already left now. The team is is in Brazil. And what's really painful is that the news came out as the team was preparing to go to the FIFA series program. And also remember that Coach Nora was not part of the team that was at COSAFA, that just ended recently here in South Africa. This is why I'm saying it doesn't make sense why she's not being given the seats when she was hired to coach.
There's still more
There's
to
a
come
lot
out of
to come out of
Zambia.
Zambia, and I think we can we'll dissect it more as it keeps coming.
Later in the
Zambia.
show, lots more coming out of Zambia. Very spicy story with the head of referees, the former chairperson of the referees committee, and what she had to say. It's coming. It's going to be a movie. Anyway, we'll talk about that later on in the show. Let's get to Mamadou, because Mamadou needs to tell us. He's been away, traveling all over the continent for about a month. Now, the most recent part of that travel, Senegal. You were with the team. You were with Senegal. The president of CAF currently has just made a trip to Senegal, is currently in Morocco. So as we look at this is some of the stuff that you brought back, right? This was your camera with your cell phone or your professional camera kit. I'm joking. Mamadou does travel and make sure that he brings us footage back. But Mamadou, what are we looking at here?
This is the Dakar, the capital city of Senegal. You can see. This is
Did you have a police escort?
by the seaside. Of course, I drive as a VIP.
Okay. I was just checking.
I see there's no traffic in front of you. Your lane is free. And then what are we looking at?
We are looking at now the president of Senegal, His Excellency Diomaye Faye, receiving the CAF president Patrice Motsepe. Yeah, Motsepe went there, of course, to mend ways and relationship between Senegal and Morocco and talk about the situation that's going on. And I think his main trip in Senegal is not about the decision of the appeal board. It's about how to help and release the 18 prisoners or supporters fund of Senegal that are still in jail.
Let's remind viewers,
in Senegal.
18 supporters of Senegal were arrested after that final.
Yeah.
There was violent scenes, what took place,
Stadium.
penalty was awarded, a lot happened in the stands. 18 of them were arrested. That was, we're talking about in January, right? Here we take a look at some of the passion that the Senegalese supporters brought to the Africa Cup of Nations. But in that moment, it wasn't their proudest moment.
No.
Arrested. Now we're saying January. Now we are in April. So February, March, April, 3 months, essentially, still in prison in Morocco.
Yes, still in prison, and they were more than 18. Some of them were sentenced to 3 months, freed already, and the majority had 6 months to 1 year.
Wow.
Then they are still in the Moroccan prison, and now the biggest issue in Senegal is how to release those people. And the president of the Senegalese FA obviously speak about it. I did an interview with him, and he's having sleepless night about those 18 fan or supporters still in Moroccan jail.
Let's listen. It is in French, so if your French is good, take a close listen to Abdoulaye Fall speaking about the prisoners and what they're trying to do to try and get them out of Moroccan prison after the Africa Cup of Nations and the violent scenes that did take place there. Let's take a listen. Mamadou did this interview.
C'est une situation extrêmement douloureuse pour nous. Vous savez, moi, j'ai une relation particulière avec ces supporters. Le président est quelqu'un avec qui j'entretiens d'excellentes relations. Il est depuis lors à Rabat et je coordonne quotidiennement avec lui. Et la fédération a mis un cabinet qui suit la procédure et il me rend compte quotidiennement de l'évolution de cette procédure. Maintenant, je souhaite que tout le monde puisse prendre de la hauteur en sachant que ces deux frères qui sont liés par l'histoire, par la culture, par la langue française, par la religion et par beaucoup de choses. Je pense qu'on doit prendre de la hauteur et voir comment trouver une solution face à cette situation douloureuse.
So the president of the Football Association speaking about how highly distressing it is that supporters are still in Moroccan prisons.
Definitely, and obviously also is appealing to the president of Moroccan Football Federation, Fouzi Lelja, to get involved in the release of those supporters.
He also says that Morocco and Senegal, they share a language, a religion, many other ties, and I'm quoting here, we must rise above this painful situation and try and find a solution.
And if you listen to President Motsepe press conference yesterday, he said he was surprised to hear that there are 240,000 Senegalese living in Morocco. That shows you the fraternity, the relationship between the two countries. Even religious-wise, many Senegalese goes to Morocco for pilgrimage.
But guys, I mean, I hear all this and I see the president of CAF there also coming to try and begin a mediation process. I'm assuming trying to, smoothen it, try to make sure that the situation can be fixed. But, I mean, TK, it's simple. Don't do violent scenes in a stadium and we don't have to have this conversation.
Yeah, I think when you go to a stadium, remember some people go to a stadium with their families, with their wives, girlfriends, and children. Now, when you go to behave like a thug at the stadium, I think we should discourage.
So,
that.
do you have sympathy?
For the Senegalese? I'm sorry.
I do.
No sympathy.
No, definitely not. I mean, when the referee takes a decision, that kind of decision, I'm sorry to my Senegalese friends, but
Penalty.
yeah, you don't have to react and break down property and all the, no. That's not how football should be celebrated, I'm afraid.
I have sympathy, not by justifying their actions, because what they did was wrong and they should be penalized for it, but being put in a prison, that is totally unfair for this long. Maybe they should have
Should you go to a hotel?
No, maybe they should have repatriated them and taken them to prison in their country. Because there's a lot happening. No, listen, there's a lot happening in Morocco. We have so many, and just away from football, with so many.
No, let's stay in football.
No, listen, being a prisoner, it doesn't matter how you got there. When you are, I'm saying, when you're a prisoner in a different country, it's a very different, just a very different environment. And look at what had happened. There's been a lot of
Ashley,
issues.
you cannot go to a foreign country and then trash their
but what I'm saying is, a lot of
and expect to be treated with kid gloves. You cannot do that.
But after that, they've been penalized for it. The Senegalese FA has been charged for a lot of their mistakes.
Yeah.
What happens afterwards? And I think that's why the president is in Morocco trying to bring peace around it and have them released. What they did was wrong, but there has to be.
Do we know that? Do we know that
Thomas,
Dr.
I think,
Patrice Motsepe is actually in his trip to Morocco and in his trip to
that's
Senegal?
why he's there.
That's at the top of
The
the
president
agenda.
said it yesterday during his press conference.
Which president?
Motsepe,
Yes.
Patrice Motsepe, a journalist asking about those 18 prisoners. And one other thing, I was attending the friendly game between Senegal and Zambia. They were playing exactly at 18 minutes of the game.
You mean Gambia?
Gambia, at 18 minutes of the game, the whistle went and the entire stadium stood for 1 minute for the 18 prisoners. 18 minutes exactly of the game. For them, it's a way to remember those prisoners. And yesterday, the president said that this thing did not happen outside the stadium. It happened inside the stadium. And it was a CAF game. Then CAF is very much concerned and involved. Therefore, he is going to talk to both parties. He spoke to the Senegalese. He was going to speak to the Moroccan and try to find a way. After all, in football, even the Senegalese president said, we fight today, we have problems, but we will meet on the pitch tomorrow. We will meet in CAF meeting, administrative meeting. We are friends, we are brothers. And I think that they were punished enough. And I strongly believe that CAF President Patrice Motsepe, after Morocco, will be very successful in having those 18 prisoners released.
You spoke to Abdoulaye Fall, president of the Football Association in Senegal. And I hear that, the 18 prisoner thing, let's see. But what about the trophy? What about CAS? Did you talk about that in your interview?
Yes, we spoke about the trophy. He said that he received the motivation of the appeal board. And in that motivation, they were not ordered to return the prize money. They are enjoying the prize money, not to return the trophy, not to return the medal, nothing. Everything is still in the possession of Senegal.
Now, Mamadou has said it. Now listen in French to Abdoulaye Fall, president of the Football Association in Senegal, saying pretty much what Mamadou just said.
Le jury d'appel n'a pas demandé la restitution du trophée, des primes de victoire et des médailles. Toutes ces requêtes ont été rejetées. Et donc, jusqu'à présent, il n'y a aucune obligation qui pèse sur nous de restituer un trophée ou bien des médailles ou une prime de victoire. Donc, pour nous, nous restons champions d'Afrique. Ma conviction, c'est que sur le plan du droit, ce titre ne pourra jamais être retiré au Sénégal. C'est ça ma conviction.
So I've looked at the translation. I'm not fluent in French, but I've looked at the translation. And Mamadou, you put it nice. What he says here is, the appeals board did not order the return of the prize money, the trophy, or the medals. All such requests were rejected. Accordingly, we have no obligation to return them and therefore continue to recognize ourselves as the champions. It is my firm conviction that from a legal standpoint, the title can never be stripped from Senegal. You put it nice.
But also, that's
It has to be diplomatic.
We're not giving you back the money. We're not giving you back the trophy. We are the champions. So, and close the door. Boom.
Thomas, doesn't this now mean that the appeals board knows who the rightful owner is? Because if everything was taken away, they should have demanded everything that was given for the title.
Because once you then take it on another appeal to CAS, then everything stops, right? The appeals board decision stops. We go back to the way it was until CAS comes back with another decision. But it seems like there's real passion in what he's saying.
Definitely, the man is very passionate and he believes, like most Senegalese I met. And I went to the training of the Senegalese team. When I entered the stadium, now they have a place for all the media, the stand. I went to sit there. Hey, troubles. Hey, you! You!
The assassin
You insulted us. You say that we started violence in the stadium. You support the Moroccan. What are you doing here? They started. And one lady said, who are you talking? He said, this guy there. The lady said, that man there. Another lady. I just decided to move. Change a stand. Went to sit alone there. Now, one official of the Senegalese FA, he said, you, why are you sitting here? I said, but I am sitting. He said, go there. You are abusing us. You support Morocco and you come and sit here. Go sit there. I say, I am not moving. He said, I will call the police for you. I say, go and call a truck of policemen. Bring them. Then the general secretary of the FA was there. I said, go and ask your SG. He went to speak to the SG. The SG told him 1 or 2 words. He just continued his way. He didn't come back to me. At the end of the training, I went to him. I said, you must know how to talk to people.
Talk to me nicely.
It must have been
I'm the assassin.
I mean, the assassin being assassinated.
Can you imagine?
So Thomas, he cleared the way for the CAF president to make it smooth to come in there. He took the first bullets.
This thing is tight. This
Hey,
thing is far from over.
even people that were not journalists. I went, a cousin of mine invited me for lunch. When I went there, hey, you, are you with Senegal or against Senegal? I said, I'm not going to eat your food because this question.
It's tense, it's tricky, and CAS will give us a decision in due time. Mamadou Gueye and his travels, bringing back some interesting information from that, and we'll continue to talk about things that are of interest to you when it comes to the football world right after this. And one of the big stories that is of tremendous interest is the fact that Eritrea have lost 7 players. Somewhere here in South Africa. We don't know where they are. We'll talk about that after this. It's taking place. Yes, everybody was focusing in on the qualifiers for the World Cup and what was happening in Europe and what was happening with the intercontinental playoffs and DRC qualifying. But at the same time as friendlies taking place, there was also the prelim qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations in 2027. These were the nations that needed to get into the group stage. And the lowest ranked nations in the CAF rankings were playing off to then make it into the group stage. I think 5 of them coming through this particular encounters. And here is what happened. So if you look at those, Coach Sudesh, I know you are keeping an eye on them. These are the nations that have made it through and are now in the group. So when the balls are being put together to come up with the groups, these 5 will join the rest.
Yeah, you're right, Thomas. Just on this
Actually
point,
6.
six actually, because there's Somalia there on the other side. You're obviously going to, about the Eritrea issue. But before we get there, I would like to make an appeal, because why have a preliminary? Why can't all the countries play in the draw?
I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying, why have a preliminary? Why can't these countries just go on
Because
play?
the maths will not maths, I guess, with the number of groups, and you need to get the number a bit smaller.
Yeah, but you maybe make an extra group, because it's 54 nations in Africa. So let all of them play, because these so-called smaller countries, Eritrea, Somalia, let them also have the experience playing in the group stage,
Well, what
That's
we do
one
know
thing.
now is that by virtue of the playoffs
Right.
and these prelim matches, Eritrea
Yes.
ended
let's get to Eritrea.
19-year drought of not making it into the group stage. They've always been knocked out in the prelim stages or withdrawn from the tournament. 19 years they didn't make it. They now make it. How did they do it?
They managed to beat Eswatini 2-0 in Morocco.
Yeah.
Because their ground in Eritrea is not suitable according to CAF. And then they came to Eswatini at the National Stadium at Somhlolo, and they won 2-1 to advance 4-1 on aggregate.
Ending that, and then when it's time to go back, so you go to Eswatini to get back to Eritrea, they needed to fly through Egypt.
Yes.
And to do that, they needed to come through
To connect in Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. When the plane gets into, or the bus, or however they came from Eswatini to Johannesburg,
Yeah.
7 players.
then
at
when it's
fault.
time to take off,
Yeah.
what happens?
7 players slipped out of OR Tambo International Airport. And then somewhere in Hillbrow, Berea, and
We don't know where they are.
Yeah.
But they're missing.
They are missing.
They left the national team.
They didn't go back to Eritrea. They are somewhere here in South Africa, roaming the streets of Johannesburg. So it is alleged.
So, Thomas, there were 10 players who were based in Eritrea in the squad. The others were diaspora players. So, from that 10, 7 slipped away and stayed in South Africa.
The 10 who live in Eritrea, from that 10, 7 of them.
So only 3 went back.
Wow.
And to give you a bit of context, over the last 15 odd years, there were 80 players from Eritrea who have absconded.
8-0.
8-0 over the last 15 years. And that's why Eritrea has been reluctant to play in qualifiers and stuff like that.
2019, just speaking a little bit about that, 7 players disappeared out of the under-20 side in Uganda. They left. Then we also had in 2015, 10 senior players defecting out of the national team as well, just disappearing out of the squad. My question, though, is, and there are 2, but the main one is, after the first leg in Morocco, why not leave there? Why come all the way down south and then disappear? Because you're not planning to go to the Cup of Nations. You're good.
Thomas.
It was not your plan.
Good question.
Thomas. No, it's simple. They know what happened to the Senegalese supporters.
So you mean
They know.
it's too tight?
No, they know.
So you think it's easier here?
No.
I mean, in Morocco don't
But you
fool
could have
around.
left in Morocco.
They didn't.
Yeah.
No, but before
What?
you leave, collect both bonuses. Very well.
Yeah, they won 2 games.
Yes,
Are
2
you,
games.
you
They
don't
won
even
2
know that
games.
the bonus was
Of
paid
course,
there.
the bonus-
Paid there.
the
They could have
bonus
said
is-
you get it at home.
People are going to Europe everywhere. You pay the bonuses when they win. They had to collect the bonuses. Now they disappeared in South Africa here. At least they have a little bit of cash. If you live in Morocco, you lose out in your bonuses. And these are local players coming from Eritrea.
What's so bad, though, that how many players? 80
Over the last 15 years.
over the last 15 years. Why use the opportunity to be in the national teams of football in Eritrea only to defect into other countries?
Yeah, I think for them, maybe that's an easier way to, as you said, defend,
But why?
seek political asylum. They don't want to be in their country. They claim a lot of abuses of human rights, civil war, things like that.
I think maybe because Eritrea is one of those countries where a military conscription is a must for many of the countries.
Even the footballers.
You are a man, so you are forced to go to.
They can send you to the front line anytime.
Yes.
Because technically they are always at war.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Maybe that could be one of the reasons
Now
why.
they're ranked 184 on the FIFA rankings. Only 4 nations are ranked below them on the CAF rankings. Do you want to? Which got me thinking immediately. Who is the lowest ranked? Like I was like I scratched my head like who's the lowest ranked nation on the African rankings? Do you know? They were on the screen there. I mean, we saw the lowest team.
Maybe South Sudan.
It's not South Sudan.
South Sudan has gone up a bit now.
Do you want to look at it again?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at the results again. Because I was like, okay, so there are 4 nations below Eritrea. The results are here. On this page is the lowest ranked nation. Everyone knows who's at the top, right? We all know Morocco #1. Of these nations here, who is the lowest ranked nation on the African continent?
Djibouti.
Yeah.
Sao Tome.
Sao Tome, Djibouti.
Yes.
Wrong.
Seychelles.
Seychelles are number 204 on the FIFA rankings, and the lowest ranked nation on the African continent. If you go below Eritrea, it's Sao Tome and Principe, Djibouti, Somalia, and then
Seychelles.
holding up Africa, the strongest of them all, right there, the little island of Seychelles. But I was like fascinated. You see, why do you guys not know that?
You just said it now. We always look at the top, and I think we are guilty for doing that.
Yeah, we learned something.
No, now you know.
I know the lowest
one
rankings in women's football.
Important for Eritrea. The president of the Eritrea Football Federation is now the president of CECAFA.
Yeah.
And they just qualify. I think that they just, even if 20 people desert, they still have to continue playing football.
But what national team are you going to have? Like, think about it, right? You're in a group. You start, you play one game, then 10 players disappear. Then you come back, the next game is another away game.
But there are millions of Eritreans.
They're in the diaspora.
There are millions
But there are a million good soccer players.
My friend, in Africa, everybody know how to kick the ball.
Maybe now
Let them come and play.
it's an opportunity for the FA president to now make sure that the players are protected from the military regime.
This is why last week TK said he wants Eritrea in Bafana's group.
He knows they might not pitch up.
3 points in jail.
No,
Points
it's
given
simple.
to you.
It's not guaranteed. Eswatini, for me, they were coming up nicely. I was surprised that Eritrea beat them home and away.
4-1 even, by a big score.
I also didn't see it coming because, I'm often in Eswatini and I see how they're trying to develop the game. But I think honestly, I didn't see that coming.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's the situation. If we do, because we're based in Johannesburg, if we happen to bump into an Eritrean, maybe they're on the squad, we'll bring them to the show to find out more information, because we really don't understand the life circumstances. And maybe if you're from Eritrea, you can tell us, like on a serious note, love to hear from it. Hashtag Soccer Africa. And maybe you can give us a sense of what it is that makes players who see the opportunity to get into a national team, go to another country, and then defect from the team and the country and decide to stay. I'd love to get an insight from somebody who's from that part of the world. On our social media, we'll look at it and try and maybe also update our viewers as to that, because that is something that we won't know unless you're on the ground in Eritrea. And if you are watching the show and know that, please tell us. Now, 63 days to go as far as the FIFA World Cup is concerned. And FIFA today announcing the referees who will be blowing the whistle. And Africa is there. We are in the mix.
Yep.
And in the mix in a nice and big way as well. We've got 7 referees that will be part of the panel of referees used at the FIFA World Cup in 2026 in 63 days' time?
I hope that none of these referee will blow the whistle on the day of the final.
You don't want. Oh.
I wish no one.
No, but I know what you're saying. You're saying because if it's an African referee, then there isn't a team from Africa, right?
Exactly.
So you would like it to be another referee. That means
and because I know African team will be at the final.
I see
Let
what you're
them
saying.
do all the game except the final.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but interestingly, at the bottom is Abongile Tom. That's the man Nigeria didn't want to handle their match. Nigeria is not going to the World Cup. Abongile Tom. Not even a referee, but Abongile Tom is going to the World Cup.
TK, your beef with Nigeria is very deep.
I think that
he is not here to defend himself.
Will be
here are the assistant referees that have been chosen. And again, the name that jumps off for South Africans would be Zakele Siwela, who is from there. And I wouldn't be laughing because there was no Zambian referee either. Or assistant. So actually, I wouldn't be laughing. Yeah.
There's a Women's World Cup coming.
Okay.
Diana will be there.
There's so many tournaments.
Not Nigeria.
Even in the assistant,
Diana will be there.
Quick to talk. Where's Cote d'Ivoire?
Yeah.
Huh?
Where's Cote d'Ivoire? Very quick to talk.
We are there at the World Cup. We're playing, my friend. You don't play. You don't have referees.
Mamadou, the referee from the AFCON final is not good enough for this.
Jean-Jacques Ndala. Yeah, that's actually interesting, right? He was the referee for the final of the Africa Cup of Nations from the DRC. Jean-Jacques Ndala is not part of the panel that is going to the FIFA World Cup. Clearly.
I don't think he would be selected when there's so much fire going on right now. He still has a case to answer.
No, but
he still has a case.
fair.
No, he still has a case to answer.
On merit. If you are refereeing the biggest game in the continent.
The reason why we are in this predicament right now as a continent is because there was a whistle that was not blown. And that whistle that was not blown led Senegal to win. Because they went on and played the game into
Are you changing your song?
No, not changing, listen. But out of everything, the referee has a case to answer. He did not blow the whistle. Had he blown it,
he would be going to USA.
Senegal would have maybe not won, would have not been on this ground.
And he would be on this list.
He has the biggest case to answer here. It's the referee.
I give up. Because,
why are you giving up?
Because you guys who are predominantly feeling Senegal are the rightful owners of the African Cup of Nations, said to me and said to Africa on the show, the referee's decision is final.
Yes,
so then
I'm saying,
if you feel the referee done everything right, he should be there going to the World Cup.
No, but
he has a case to answer right now.
He
has a case to answer right now.
Allegedly,
he was instructed.
Did you see
he was supposed to be his own man and interpret the laws.
Instructed to do what? Allegedly instructed to do what?
Instructed not to give the Senegalese players yellow cards when they came back from the dressing room.
According to his report, there was no that whole drama that happened.
You see, so
there's a case to answer right there. So why would he go to the World Cup?
The mere fact that he allowed third forces to influence him not to do the right thing. That is why he's not on the list of referees.
Funny how a bit of time changes. The best referee ever, he did it all right. The referee's decision is final. And now suddenly, well, Mr. Ref, you're on your own. We're not sure about you.
No, that referee is finished.
Thomas, there's also been two VAR officials.
Right? Yeah. Because even in Africa, if they make a mistake to appoint him for a game, the two team or the two country will contest him immediately.
For what?
I said, this guy, we don't want him. Where he's supposed to give yellow, he doesn't give yellow.
Yeah.
Where he's supposed to stop the game, he
doesn't stop. He continues.
You see, because clubs and national team have a right to contest the referee.
Yes.
I think, I am sure in his mind already, he's thinking of retirement.
Never. Guys, you guys a few weeks ago were celebrating how great it was, what a strong referee it was to make sure that he finished the game.
Celebrating that Senegal won the game.
He resisted all the pressure and he finished it. He was the guy. Now, today, suddenly, it's changed.
Senegal won the game, but the referee there has a case
quick
to
break.
answer.
After the break, we are going to be touching on to as far as what's going on as far as the CAF Champions League is concerned. A lot of North African sides involved in that. We're going to go up to Algeria, where Mahir, our resident North African expert, is going to join us to give us his input and what he expects to happen in the first legs of the CAF Champions League semi-finals. A weekend's worth of action. The CAF Champions League, the Total Energies CAF Champions League sees Aspar taking on RS Berkane. And Coach Sudesh, it's a derby.
Yeah, there's all Moroccan semi-final for the first time. Two new guns. Mamadou has warned us about RS Berkane for a long time. They won the Confed Cup the past 2 seasons. The two big guns, Egyptian big guns, are out, obviously, Pyramids and El Ali. And for me, Thomas, I think this would be the year where Sundowns gets a second star, you know. Taking nothing away from Esperance, but I mean, this Sundowns team is a well-oiled machine, very experienced. Cardoso's former team, Esperance, but I think the threat will come, obviously, if they get past Esperance, will be Berkane.
So that's what's happening as far as the Total Energies Champions League is concerned. Louisa take on Zamalek in the Confederations Cup. Uzma up against Olympic Club Safi. And again, your World of Champions will bring you the action. So make sure that you are with us to find out who will be champions when the dust settles in the two major inter-club competitions on the continent. Mahir, welcome to the show. I know you've been waiting a long time. We love to hear from you. And Mahir, up in Algeria, I know you don't have any skin in the game. Here in South Africa, we do have with Mamelodi Sundowns. However, that all-Moroccan semi-final, you look at the numbers, and it's almost impossible to choose based on form who's likely to come out of that game and make their way to the final.
It's a tasty one. A year ago, I would have taken RS Berkane to qualify to the final. They had set the record in terms of number of points taken in the Moroccan Botola with all those great Wydad Casablanca teams, Raja Casablanca teams. However, they did make some changes in their squad. They got rid of their 2 center halves. Their Senegalese midfielder, Mamadou Lamine Kamara, who was part of the Senegalese squad that won that AFCON initially, now it's been revoked, of course, as you've already mentioned. He's moved on to Libya, where a lot of players and coaches are moving on to now as well. And their striker, Oussama Lemliwi, is not in the form that he was in last year, where he was one of the hottest players on the continent alongside Fiston Mayele. So I actually think that Asfar have a little bit of an edge here. They're leading the Botola, the Moroccan league. They knocked out the current, or I should say the incumbent African champions, Pyramids FC. And they're going to be having a home field advantage. Those Asfar fans are very, very raucous. Remember, they only had them for one match, the first one against Al Ahly. There was a bit of crowd trouble, and then they had a home stadium ban for a few matches. Now they get them back. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in the Moulay Hassan Stadium, which is a very intimate stadium of only 20,000 people. They're going to be playing in the grand stadium of Moulay Abdallah Stadium, probably the best in Africa. But still, I expect that home field advantage to be a lot better than when they go to Berkane, which at sometimes has been criticized as not really being a football popular club.
I mean, Berkane, unbeaten in their last 10 of their last 12 CAF Champions League matches. Then I look at Rabat, not beaten in their last 7 Champions League matches. What's there to choose between those two sides? Nothing.
Nothing, Thomas.
That tight.
It will be very, very tight.
So then tell me, who goes through?
And Thomas, coincidentally, this game, Hilal and RS Berkane, there's an appeal sent to CAF because one of the RS Berkane players was suspended, but they played him. So that could throw a spanner in the works for this weekend's game.
But what, like for the weekend, what do you mean?
The player had failed a doping
I
test
know,
and he was not supposed to play in this game.
But a decision came through.
Yes, but then CAF had suspended him. But he was still fielded. So Al Hilal had written and threatened to go to CAS if they don't get the right response in the next, I think, 24 hours or so.
Mahir, I mean, what now?
It's a crazy story. It's a crazy story. So apparently Hamza Moussaoui was flagged for something called prednisone, which is a steroid. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it can have some performance-enhancing properties. This was a few months ago, a month and a half ago. When he was flagged, he was suspended provisionally. Now, what Al Hilal is claiming, the club from Sudan, is that for some reason, we don't know why, he was reinstated by CAF. Actually, they claim that it was just 24 hours prior to the match, and they think that that was suspicious and it was done improperly. He ended up playing, and he ended up being actually very essential. He won one of the penalties that RS Berkane ended up scoring and qualifying with. And as a result, Al Hilal, as Coach Sudesh explained, they plan on going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to try and overturn this result. However, I don't know if it will hold up legally because he was reinstated.
He was reinstated. What's the case? If I'm reinstated,
the question is, why was he reinstated? Why? Because a player that is suspended provisionally.
Then provisionally, it could go either way.
Now, Esperance up against Mamelodi Sundowns. That feels like some unfinished business. Because last year there was big banners across the stadiums at Esperance threatening Tokolosh, which is a mythical creature that South Africans believe in, that is quite a nasty little spirit. And this was something that was being said may affect the Sundowns players, and was a big banner across the stadium saying that. So there's unfinished business between these two sides. They meet again.
Not just last year, Thomas. This has been a tie the last two knockout stages. Remember, 2 years before, it was Miguel Cardozo that knocked out Walaini Mokwena's side. Esperance got past Sundowns in the semifinals. Last year was in the quarterfinals. Both of those matches actually had one similar fact. 2 years ago, Miguel Cardozo only took the job 6 weeks prior, and Esperance got through. Last year, it was Meher Kenzari, the Esperance coach, that only took the job 6 months prior, going up against Miguel Cardozo. This time it wasn't enough, and they were disgraceful, Esperance. They had no ambition going forward in that match against Sundowns. Now Esperance get to this stage again. To be fair to them, it's not 2 to 4 weeks, Patrice Baumel, but it's a new coach, 6 weeks again. He was the previous coach of the Angolan national team that LUCC took over. This is not an Esperance side that was as strong, in my opinion, as the previous couple of years. They don't have the megastars, Yusuf Beleli. They don't have the South African Elias Mokoena. They're missing one of those 2 Brazilians, the striker Rodrigo Rodriguez. They have a lot of young talent. They have the Nigerian in midfield, Onucho Ogbelu. They have Jack Diarra from Burkina Faso. He's 19 years old. Their striker is from Joliba. They signed him. He's 20 years old as well. They're a very young side, but they're relying on the strength of the institution. They call themselves the monsters of Africa, the goal of Africa. They think Africa fears them, but they're coming up against a resolute Sundown side. We all thought this year, this was going to be the year that Sundown trips up. Maybe Pirates are going to overtake them in the PSL. Maybe they're going to be knocked out in the group stages of the Champions League. But just when it seems like they're one result away from tripping up, they showed that resilience. And I think we have to credit Miguel Cardozo for that.
But the fortress, Mahir, that is that Esperance home stadium. I mean, last 5 home games in the Champions League, 5 clean sheets. Sundowns would be hoping to get something in the away leg.
That's the key for me, is that they have to score a goal. This Esperance side is not a side that can score a lot away from home, in my opinion. The key for me is that Mamelodi Sundowns have to get a goal away from home. But I think, you know what? I think they can do it. I think we have to credit Sundowns' technical staff, because the 2 signings they brought in the winter, whether it's Brian Leon, who started off very hot in the PSL, he's kind of cooled down now, but the goals have been coming in the CAF Champions League, even though he slowed down a little bit in the PSL. And Damane.
And Mahir, I mean, you talk about it's not that Esperance, it's missing players, but I'm watching them beat Al Ahly.
Al Ahly, yeah. That was a crazy result. Honestly, I don't think they thought they could have beaten Al Ahly in this fashion, though. Many people think this is more of a failure of Al Ahly's part, who some people think might not even qualify for the CAF Champions League next year. There's a lot of pressure on the coach, just Farouk, but they think it's more Al Ahly than Esperance.
TK, what kind of mindset will Mamelodi Sundowns come into this one with? Because, yes, they're in the semi-final, but their last game was a 2-0 defeat to Stade Malien. They get there by virtue of having lost their quarterfinal second leg 2-0.
Yeah, I think they know what happened to Stade Malien after they put them to the sword here in Pretoria. So they will go to Tunisia, make sure that at least they get a result. If not a win, at least
don't concede. Make sure you come back with 0-0 and then do the business at home.
Come back with something and then do the business at home. I think that will be the mindset of Sundowns.
You're looking at that and I see you in deep thought.
I'm literally just thinking it would be nice to see Mamelodi Sundowns versus RS Berkane in the final.
That's your dream final?
Like literally, I'm thinking right now, I'm listening to what everyone is saying. My dream final is Mamelodi Sundowns, RS Berkane.
Do you have a dream final?
Let me tell you one thing. Sundown won 3-0 here because most of the Malian players were fasting. let me tell you, they were fasting. That's why they considered 3 here. And when they took 2, now with Esperance, it's not going to be the case. In Tunis, it's not going to be the case.
You want to bet?
Now,
No, there's a threat here. You say, okay, no, what did you say?
You want to bet?
Pagimali.
bet between a French coach and a Portuguese coach. If it was
No. Bet against Sundown and Esperance.
I am telling you, between a French coach and a Portuguese coach. If it was an African coach, I was going to bet. I don't bet with
Chicken.
I don't bet with this European coach.
We're not going to end. Yeah, I want to say thank you very much. As you started by saying, Mahir Mazai, thank you very much, our North African football correspondent up in Algiers. And thank you, you guys, to Coach Dinesh. Thank you to Mamadou Gay, who leaves again. You're headed to Zimbabwe. What's happening?
Zimbabwe, tomorrow there is a school,
The CAF school.
CAF School Championship.
Yeah?
But I saw some of the games. I think they still have to reduce the age of those boys.
See now.
Next week Tuesday, Banyana is hosting Algeria. So I hope the South Africans will go and watch the Banyana team in Durban. International friendly time. I am so looking forward to that friendly.
And I promise you, Ashley, next week we are starting on the Zambia part because I threat to get into the story around what happened with the chairperson of the referees committee in Zambia. We didn't get there, but it will be coming next week. And then at the far post, our founder member and award-winning journalist, Thomas Gwenaite. Thank you, Africa, for being with us today. I'm your jersey number 10. Africa, you've been updated. Good night.